Hello, live from Kearney, New Jersey. This is Keeping It Real, Staying Alive edition. And this is our second official episode. It's a show where we create positive social support as we collaborate with others in the mental health and fitness industries. And my second official guest of honor is just arriving now. It is Tanner from A Safe Place Inside Your Head. And he'll be joining us to share a mental health tool and tell us about what he's doing. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up?
Thank you so much for being on the show, for being the second official guest on Keeping It Real, Staying Alive.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. How are you today? Are you having a good day so far?
I'm having a great day. I had a great night. I rewatched 1989 Batman.
I was a little nervous for this because I haven't done one of these before. So
yeah, it's all good. It's all casual, man. We keep it cash here. I just want to let the people know about what you're doing because it's a pretty awesome thing you've got going out there. So if you could just let people know what it is. Your name's Tanner, so I introduced you, but what it is that you do.
I am a mental health advocate. I've given my life to the cause of mental health and helping people survive and helping people's lives be a little bit more effective and a little bit more easy. I've literally lived the I want to help people as much as I can mantra, the we rise by lifting others mantra, more than anything. So a little bit about what I do is I just do my best to talk people off ledges. I do my best to try to provide free resources for people so that they know where they can go if they ever need help, love, and support. I just try to be a mental health advocate. That's pretty much what I'm working on and how hard I'm working.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing you're doing. You're working for a bigger cause than yourself. And I'm out here. I think we're on similar paths. You know, we have different avenues, but we're heading in the same direction. And I'm sure you can relate to the sense of fulfillment that you get when you get feedback from people that are tuning into your channel about how it's helped them in their life.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah.
So
it's one of my favorite things, especially whenever someone says, like, I haven't had anybody listen to me before. Thank you so much. Like, I think that it's such a major key. Like, if some people would just listen, you don't have to talk.
yeah.
You don't have to give advice. You just have to listen and be there. Such a major key for people.
Yeah, community and social support is huge for anybody dealing with mental health issues. Just like you said, to have that listening ear, somewhere where they can feel like they're not being judged or pressured, and they can just be open and honest and express themselves.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah, much love, much support, much respect, brother, for what you're doing. And
the stuff you're doing, you're staying active. You're keeping it active. Like, I wish I could be on your level with how many days now in a row?
230. We're on day 230 of daily training.
I'm day one.
Hey, every day is the first day of the rest of our lives, so it's your choice what you get to do with it, right? If you wanted to give something like this a shot, you're more than welcome. We could do private lessons or something like that, but it's not for everybody. You know, everybody's got to find their avenue, what works for them. This is what really resonated with me as a healthy outlet for aggression, for panic, for fear, for stress. It was a physical outlet that just changed my life.
Hey,
but
you motivate me. I'll tell you that, because I went and I looked for a personal trainer because I was like, I need to get more active because of this guy. I got to catch up. I got to catch up because he's changed lives by being active. Like, I love that. It's such a cool concept.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's freaking great. I mean, anything that we do, like we do in here 10 minutes a day, but any amount we do is better than nothing. You know, any amount is progress. So we kind of have a mindset that progress is success. Since there's always room for growth, we can always make progress in life. So that's how we gauge success for ourselves with SAC Life. Every day we're successful because every day we make progress. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that it's had an effect a little bit on you.
In our community, we have a mantra, obviously, kind of like yours, you know, where every day we don't look at the wall, so to speak. So, because the wall, like, you're at 233 days, right, or 230 days, and that's a huge wall. Like, when I look at that, I'm like, holy cow, that's crazy. That's so much. But when I look at whenever you break it down by one day, when you're like, you just do it one day at a time and you make that brick the most perfect brick you could possibly make it. And then you just continue to lay those bricks. Eventually,
Yeah.
230 days like you're at, So,
Yeah. It's we take it day by day, and every day is a new day, is a new start, so you can lay another brick. Absolutely. So we got into what you do. I'd like to tell the people why you do it. What's your motivation for creating this?
oh man, where do I start? Where do I start? Okay, so basically, my mental health journey didn't really start until I would say, 17 actually. So 17, essentially, my brother committed suicide. It was probably the worst thing in my life at that point had happened to me. And he did it in a way where basically, like, we saw him, it gave me PTSD. It changed my life. It really put in perspective that death is something, because, at 17, you're like, I'm untouchable. Nothing can touch me. Like, I'm
Yeah.
unstoppable. Like, the world is my oyster. Whenever something happens like that, you're like, it brings you back down to earth, and it really sets like a whoa, like, this is real. Like, mental health is real. Like, I never in
Yeah.
my wildest dreams did I ever imagine or ever think that something like this could happen to my family. And when it did, it changed everything. It made it to where it was like, okay, how do we save more lives? Like, how do we help more people? Like, how do we make sure that no one ever feels as sad as my brother felt or as alone as my brother felt in that moment? So when I turned 18, I started reading up on mental health and figuring out like my own mental health. My journey is how I got to this journey and how I got to this whole safe place inside your head. So my journey was, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 11, and because they were trying to figure out like why I would have such like terrible mood swings and why I would be so like disactive and then dissociative, and then I would like be very active and be very like there. So I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2 whenever I was a kid, and they put me on medicine. And honestly, the medicine, it was hard. It was like constant trying to figure out what was happening, what was going,
Mm.
how it could work. But eventually, we found something that we settled on, and it worked for me, and it worked well. So basically, like whenever I started getting more focused on like, okay, how do I get my own mental health? Like, how do I get to a position where I can be happy? How do I get to a position where I can make it work? I started
Yeah.
studying mental health, and then I just learned more, and then I learned grounding, which we'll talk more later about. um,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Something that changed my life. When I learned how to ground myself, it literally, like, I don't know what it was, but it was like an unlock. And when
Yeah.
I learned how to do that, it helped me become a better human being, because I realized that as I grounded myself, I became more in my emotions, and it basically helped me understand that other people have emotions too. As I became more encompassed with my emotions, I was able to see other people and their emotions, and I was like, wow, like, I'm not alone. I'm I'm not alone, but where do I go? That's kind of the question that I always ask myself. I'm not alone, but where do I
Yeah.
go? Where do I go to get help? Like, I know there was therapy, and I know there's that and that, but I was an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid. I had
At this point, you knew you wanted help, though. You didn't want things to end. You wanted things to get better,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I never wanted someone to feel as alone as my brother did.
Yeah.
In his last moments, he felt so alone, like he could go nowhere, like he had nowhere to go.
It's terrible that people have to feel alone when there's so many of us going through such similar situations, and we have so much perspective to offer each other if we would just talk about it. And I think it's a big part about what both of us are doing in our own ways is getting people to be open about these mental health issues, making them okay. It's okay to have, like, I struggle with depression and anxiety, but I'm hitting the bag. I'm still meeting my goals. I'm getting accomplishment every day. It doesn't have to stop me. It doesn't make you weaker to have an illness. We're not defined by our illness. This is our life, and we have control of what we do with it.
I
So,
agree with that fully. We're not defined by our illness, but what we are defined by is by the characteristics of who we are as a person, and how we navigate through our mental illness, and that's important.
yeah, you were
So
in this space and you knew you wanted help and you wanted a direction. You didn't know which direction to go. right?
Exactly.
And then what happened?
I had gone through that whole time of like helping people, and I was like, how do I do this on like a larger scale? Like, how can we make this happen? So on my brother's birthday, I was like, all right, I'm going to create a Facebook group called The Safe Place Inside Your Head. I just need a safe place to go. I just need someone to talk to. I need someone to talk about to something, you know? Like, I want to meet people who have things that are like me. I want to be a part of the similar interest group, you know? I don't want to feel alone.
You're creating a tribe out
Exactly.
there.
So me and my ex-girlfriend created the group. We added all of our friends who we were like, who we know who would like talk about mental illness like that. We ended up starting with 500 members, and it was an active community where people felt engaged, where they could talk about things. Now that community is up to 1,500, which is great. But then we created the Instagram. The Instagram is its own beast. What we wanted to do was post relatable things. We didn't want to be like a fake positive Instagram. We didn't want to be like one of those where all we did was post positivity all the time. We wanted to post like the real stuff. Like, you're not happy all the time. That's the most honest answer I have, you know? So
Yeah. Stuff still happens that gets us down. And when we recover more in our mental health, we bounce back faster. But we still get down when things go wrong. That's normal human behavior. So yeah, really cool. And I
we
think
wanted
you're
like that.
doing a good job out there connecting with people and making it real. It's definitely something I felt when I visit your page and I see specifically your lives. I feel that real, that genuine element that's kind of missing from the general positive post
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah, real, because real people recognize real people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
and
That's why I was going to say the same thing, man. Real recognize real out there. All right, so we went over what you do. We went over why you do it. Now I would like to share, if you could share with the audience, a mental health tool that we can use. I think you mentioned grounding before. I don't even know what grounding is,
okay,
but
so I love
help me out.
this is like my favorite thing to talk about in the world because it's helped me so much. I used to get lost in my emotions, and I wanted to try to find a way to change it. And I came across a technique called grounding. In times of anxiety, whenever you're grounding, you want to there's 5 things you want to do. It's like thinking about a memory that'll bring you back to reality, or thinking about a smell that'll bring you back to reality, touching something in the room, um, or basically just realizing that your anxiety is lying to you. Like, that's the whole point of grounding for me. I think real thoughts so that my anxiety doesn't lie to me and I don't get like a big anxious like spike and a panic attack. So one of the things that I think about, and this is weird, I'm a big time Oklahoma fan. I think about this football game when I watched as a kid. It was one of the most iconic football games that have ever happened in the history of Oklahoma. We lost. Whenever I start getting anxiety and I start feeling like really, really bad, I think about that game because that's reality. Like, that game is reality. Like, that happened, and it brings
Yeah,
down anxious thoughts because
really.
I stopped thinking about all the bad things that happened or all the bad things that could happen to me from these. And I just think about that game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
back, and I'm like, that game really happened. These thoughts are really not that real, you know?
So you're saying it stops that negative thought spiral.
Yeah, it
That's
like
what you're doing?
stops me in my tracks. I think of that memory because it's so real to me. Whenever I want to think about something good, when I would think about a good memory, I think about my brother and the time we played Halo together. He used to take me to all my tournaments all the time. He would be the one that would drive me and take me and be my coach and help me out and just be there for me. Um,
Yeah.
I think about that memory and it stops me in my tracks of my anxious thoughts too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad memory. It can just be something that's like that touches your soul,
Yeah.
takes you
That's
to a better place. I went to Disney World or Disneyland like a year ago, and I think about riding a ride with my daughter, and it brings me back, and it just makes me feel so much better, you know.
that's beautiful. That's
So
that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for being our second official guest of honor. Thank you so much for being here.
hey, have a good
Take care.